Hello, and welcome to the Marginal Mind Matters podcast, presented by me, Siobhan Henry, and produced by Karen Westman. Marginal Mind Matters, also known as Margins, is a registered not-for-profit company, and our approach is to help marginalized groups cope with the inner suffering of social exclusion. We do this through self-help and support groups. The great majority of people in the world are socially excluded. Social exclusion is referred to by many names, and marginalization is one, and that is why we call ourselves margins. Social exclusion is being treated unequally for a number of different reasons, and it shapes how we think and feel. And if we are not aware that we are excluded, then we can't face those thoughts or feelings, and we can't do anything about it. Discrimination forces us into social exclusion, and the systems of prejudice tell us every day that that is where we belong and that is where we should stay. So the Marginal Mind Matters podcast is about showing the socially excluded that we can escape social exclusion and achieve the lives we want, but we need to face the inner struggle of social exclusion before we can do that. Our mission at Marginal Mind Matters is to empower one socially excluded person at a time in the hope that we will eventually lift all of society. Each week we will choose one emotion that relates to the internal struggle of being socially excluded, and we will do 4 things. First, we will define what the emotion is. Second, we will explain what purpose this emotion serves in society. Third, we will explain what happens when we feel this emotion. And lastly, we will explain how to free ourselves from that emotion. In this podcast, we will be discussing manipulation. So what is manipulation? Manipulation is defined as the act of controlling or influencing the behavior of someone else in order to achieve one's goals. Manipulation is widespread among the marginalized. The marginalized are influenced and controlled by their leaders, their communities, their friends, and their families. The great majority of choices that the marginalized make are made out of manipulation rather than free will. We're going to break for some music, and when we come back, we will discuss the purpose that manipulation plays in society.
It's better if you tell yourself
So what is the purpose of manipulation? Before we discuss the purpose of manipulation in society, we need to interrogate why we need to manipulate others, and the reason is to achieve our goals. More often than not, our goals are in conflict with the goals of others. And we spoke about resources in our podcast on rejection, so we know that resources are scarce. So for example, if you have limited money in your bank account, you also have limited needs that can be met. So in order for someone to take some of your money, they have to convince you that their needs are more important than yours. And how do they do that? Well, in our previous podcast, we spoke about the feelings of rejection, ridicule, and shame. And all of these feelings are geared to make us feel worthless. So when we feel worthless, we externalize our feelings. And what that means is, instead of feeling things relating to our own lives and seeking to change our lives, we project our feelings onto the outside world. When we project our feelings onto the outside world, we make ourselves vulnerable to manipulation. So for example, someone who has experienced an environment of abuse or violence may feel profound anger, but instead of acknowledging that anger and trying to find its source so that they can heal, the individual may enlist in the army, join a gang, or engage in terrorist activity. And the purpose behind each of these activities is different. The soldier fights wars and protects the security of their country. The gang member intimidates their community, and the terrorist uses violence and destruction to make their cause known. But each of these individuals has one thing in common. They have unresolved emotions, and they are easily manipulated into voluntarily giving up their lives to serve a cause, be it the cause of the state, the gang, or the terrorist organization. The same goes for charities and religious causes. So people who are experiencing grief, sadness, or loneliness have a huge amount of empathy, and they tend to contribute to charitable causes as a means to healing themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when people have failed to address their internal struggles, they become easy targets for manipulation. They may be manipulated into giving disproportionate amounts of their time and resources to both legitimate causes and also to scams. So the purpose of manipulation is to prey on people's lack of self-worth and to convince them to give away precious resources that they would ordinarily keep for themselves. We're going to break for some music, and when we come back, we will discuss the impact of manipulation among the socially excluded. Welcome back. So what is the impact of manipulation? Well, it entrenches feelings of worthlessness and it deprives the socially excluded of precious and sometimes life-saving resources. And you can see its impact in your daily life. So look around your house, inside your cupboards and in your garage. How many of these things did you buy because you wanted it? How many of these things did you buy because you were manipulated into buying it? The way to answer this question is to assess how much of the stuff you have you actually use. Manipulation makes us spend valuable money, time, resources, and even our lives on things and causes that are not in sync with who we are. And it takes us further and further away from who we are, because when we lack self-worth, we are easily convinced to be someone else. We're going to break again for some music, and when we come back, we'll be discussing the most important part of this podcast, which is how to free ourselves from manipulation.
I'm a trouble man, changed by the things I do. True, but it's funny how they all remember you. And I could be different. Time to do something new. But giving everything. To be a happy man too. Gotta understand. Blamed by the friends I lose. Who's getting out of hand? Do you think they depend on you? And I could be different. Try to do something.
Welcome back. So how do we free ourselves from manipulation? Well, the first step is to be self-aware. We need to get in touch with the way we feel, and we need to take the time to understand why we feel this way. And this means tracing the source of the emotion and coming to terms with the events attached to the emotion. When we have done that, we can start the journey to healing and to caring for ourselves. And this is the first act to acknowledging our self-worth. When we have a sense of self-worth, we are not easy to manipulate because we know where the feelings attached to worthlessness, and these feelings include guilt, shame, fear, and inferiority, where they come from. So those feelings can't be used against us. So when someone approaches us with the intention of getting money, for example, and plays on our guilt, we are equipped to defend ourselves from that manipulation. Addressing our inner self means we are more aware of what is happening outside of ourselves. Self-awareness means inner freedom. It means that we are no longer slaves to our emotions or to our past. It is also freedom from external subjugation, because when we are aware of our emotions, we are no longer susceptible to the exploits of others. Thanks for joining us on this podcast on manipulation, and we hope you'll join us again next time. Thanks, and goodbye.
You are my horizon line. You're the end of everywhere I've been. The only home where I can hide when I'm tired of blowing in the wind. Leave a light on so I can see. It's a wild world without you, baby. Leave a light on so I can see. It's a wild world without you, baby. Wild world. There are lions in the streets, and they all pretend to be friends with me. But I know by the way they laugh, they will take me if I turn my back. Leave a light on so I can see. It's a wild world without you, baby. Leave a light on so I can see. It's a wild world without you, baby. Wild world. It's a wild world without you, baby. Leave a light on so I can see. It's a wild world without you, baby.